All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 9. We're getting up here in these episodes, and if you've been keeping track and listening in, we keep bringing you the most up-to-date news and everything going on. And Brandon is gone again this week. Let's see what movie he went and got a free pass to a chocolate factory this time, and he took his sick grandpa with him, and he's just going to be gone doing that. So we brought Heath Carlton, our reoccurring guest here, back in to take place of Brandon.
Thanks for going to see Willy Wonka, Johnny Depp at the chocolate factory.
Well, you know, every time Brandon's gone, he's going to be on a new adventure, and it looks like he's off to Wonka land, fucking with Oompa Loompas and shit. So we're going to get back at it, and it's helpful anyways. We have some stuff on the docket this week where Heath is going to be important. So to start things off, you know, for you guys who are out there that tuned in Thursday night, we had a very interesting game. The Redskins at the Giants. For anybody who listened earlier in the show, I believe it was week 1 or 2, I made mention about how I thought the Giants were going to be the worst team in football this year based on the end of last year and the start of preseason. And, man, it looks like they're really starting to pull things together. What did you think of that game, Heath?
I thought it was going to be a one-sided game like how it was with Tampa Bay and Atlanta a week ago. Same thing what Washington was going to do to the Giants, but I did not think it was the Giants going to do the same thing to Washington.
Yeah, it was definitely a flip the script. You know, Kirk Cousins over the time that he's played has looked like the real deal. I mean, Brandon made mention that last week, and we've always thought that he was going to be that guy there. But man, he came in and looked horrible. 4 interceptions. He had a fumble, and then not only did Washington look bad, New York looked fucking fantastic.
I thought Washington played really bad, but it was New York. They were on top of everything. They played good in every position that you could think of right there.
Well, it all starts with Manning playing up to potential. You know, Manning's one of those guys where, you know, he's talked for years that big game about calling himself elite quarterback, and I think he's gotten some laughs for that. But when he's on. He's no joke. Thursday, he racked up 28 for 39, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
A rushing touchdown.
Yeah, and a rushing touchdown.
Manning's don't rush.
No, yeah, that's it's strange. It's a weird world where Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers and guys like that have more rushing touchdowns than some of your rushing quarterbacks out there.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's pretty wild that you're kind of seeing some of that. Also, their running game is killing it. I spoke big things at week 1 about, I said the only person worth anything on that Giants team was their rookie Andre Williams, the running back. And he's looked good. Rashad Jennings is killing it over there now. And then apparently they're going all Tom Brady and deciding just to throw to all their tight ends.
Yes, they're looking good. This is the best that the Giants I've seen in the past 2 seasons. 2 seasons. It's the best Giants football team I've seen. So who knows? It could be a fluke, but you never know.
Yeah. Larry Donnell caught 3 touchdowns for him. Fells got the other one. So it was just all tight ends. I mean, it sucks for anybody out there, I guess, in fantasy who was playing wide receivers for the Giants. But, you know, I guess you got to get them where you got to get them.
And people who decided to play Eli Manning as a desperate move for week 4 buys are just like, God, I have to play Eli Manning this week.
And I'm sure it happened too. I'm sure there was some, if you look at fantasy lineups, you had some very premier quarterbacks on bye this week. So I'm sure there was a handful of people out there who were very happy that ended up starting like Eli Manning and starting Ben Roethlisberger, and all those guys had really good games.
Yes, they did.
It's kind of nice when your quarterback goes on bye like mine did with Russell Wilson, and I had Ben Roethlisberger playing, you know, who did they end up playing?
Tampa Bay,
yeah. And then so I'm like, oh, yeah, freaking for sure, I'll run that. And then I was setting my lineup earlier today, and I was like going to go put Russell Wilson back in, and I'm like, Pittsburgh's playing Jacksonville this week.
Tampa Bay.
I know Tampa Bay and then Jacksonville. That's what I said this week. So I went to go put Russell Wilson back in just today to play week 4 or week 5, and then I was like, oh man, Pittsburgh's playing Jacksonville week 5. So I was like, I think I might play Ben Roethlisberger again.
Oh, I don't know about that pick. You know how those Florida teams looking against Pittsburgh nowadays, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. You never really know. Some of the other games out there, speaking, the same division there as Pittsburgh, we had a really interesting showdown with Baltimore and Carolina. I was very surprised by this. Carolina just looked bad, like bad.
They've been looking bad the past 2 weeks. They did not look
But
good.
even last week, their defense looked okay.
I don't know when Pittsburgh just blew them out for the rest of the game.
I mean, it's rough. I mean, Carolina's been in bad shape. I definitely think they're hurting. They got some injuries, and Cam just hasn't been Cam and hasn't been healthy, hasn't looked right, and hasn't been rushing the ball. I mean, he's one that Phillip Rivers has more rushing yards than Cam Newton.
Oh, yeah.
You never expect that. But the real story there was Steve Smith's homecoming against Carolina. They weren't playing at Carolina, but it was the first time that he's played them since he left there. And Heath, you wish you had somebody tell you to start Steve Smith in fantasy?
I wish I would have started him.
Right before the game, I'm talking to Heath, and he's like, man, who should I start? I've got Reggie Wayne. I got Steve Smith. I'm like, Steve Smith. He's going to blow up. Just blow up. And Steve's like, oh, or Heath's like, I don't know. Like, and then who'd you end up starting?
I started Steven Jackson against
so
Minnesota.
He did decent. That's not too bad. But as soon as Steve Smith
numbers,
that first touchdown catch, I don't know if you've seen a better play all season. Just the tip ball, Steve Smith appears out of nowhere like a freaking superhero and just takes it to the house. And ended up 7 catches, 139 yards, 2 TDs. It was incredible. What a performance.
He said he made them look like kids out there.
Yeah, I love that interview. He was just like, I made those guys look like kids in the playground.
He was pissed when Carolina cut him.
Yeah.
And he warned them.
Albeit fairly.
Don't play against me. That's what he told them.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, that guy's always – Steve Smith's always someone I respected because I like somebody who can shit talk but then back it up. Like, don't shit talk and then not back it up. Steve Smith's always been one of those guys. Once he opens his mouth, he goes and makes it happen.
One of the best stiff arms in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, by far. He's still just nasty with it, even as old as he is.
Oh, man, he made Carolina look like Carolina's like
on a few plays.
Yeah, Carolina's like, why did we cut him again? And Cam Newton's like, it's like, yeah.
He was even stiff-armed in Cincy when they played Cincy.
Oh, yeah.
He was freaking knocking people
Pac-Man
out with
Jones,
that thing.
He threw him down like he was a kid.
Yeah, he gave Pac-Man some balls to chomp on in true Pac-Man fashion. But
I seriously think, as you probably will agree with me, I think Steve Smith will be the best receiver this year in the NFL. Because
no, I don't agree with that. I think he will be
this year
probably a top 5 receiver, maybe
top 5
if he keeps on track. I don't think that Baltimore has the offensive ability to keep him that high rated.
He's been looking good.
No, I mean he is right now. He's definitely up there. I think I didn't check after this week, but last week Edelman was number 1. And then there's a couple other guys with pretty high stats out there just because they've had a couple big games. But he's definitely looked the most consistent. He's put up like 130 yards every single game.
Yeah.
Like he's the number 1 player on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
And I would have never expected that. I picked him up like in the 10th round.
It's like you guys got people like AJ Green, Calvin Johnson, and Brandon Marshall. Okay, Brandon Marshall. Okay, never mind. I forgot about that guy.
Well, and I have other guys that, just aren't performing. You have people like Eddie Lacy. I'm like, well, fuck, I picked him as my first overall pick.
Yeah.
Do I have to bench Eddie Lacy? Like, what's
Steve
going
Smith?
on? I mean, I don't know. But, which goes, to the Green Bay game. Aaron Rodgers, who's looked so on and off, bad week 1, good week 2, bad week 3, fucking back on for week 4, 22 for 28, 302, and 4 touches.
Against the Bears defense.
Yeah, that Bears defense isn't anything special, but I'll tell you what, man, they get to play the Bears again. That division has weak defenses all around. The Lions, I guess, are the only ones really in that division that have some defense. So,
yeah,
It should be interesting to go. But he really spread the ball around too. Cobb caught 2. Nelson caught 2. Here's a quick question: better receiver for you, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson?
Wow.
Just not even fantasy. I'm just saying you're going to put a team together to go win Super Bowls. Who do you take between the two? Do you take Cobb or do you take Nelson?
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, why's that?
I think it's more of the little veteran status. Like he's been there a little longer and he knows the system better. And he's that emergency guy Rodgers can rely on. It's
pretty clutch guy.
Clutch guys and Randall Cobb. I don't think he is a very clutch guy, but he's that guy that could be open though. But I would say Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, he's the real deal. I mean, the nice thing that I like about Jordy Nelson, I mean, Cobb has this as well, but I guess what I like about both those receivers is they're both so nasty in yards after catch.
Oh, yeah.
You get those guys on a seam, and they can turn an 8-yard pass into a fucking touchdown any chance. And you just don't see too many receivers like that, and fucking Aaron Rodgers got 2 of them.
Yeah, it's insane. It's just like, plus, James Jones is in Oakland. Just imagine if he was still there this year. And
he's doing good in Oakland too. Yeah. He's been playing really well. So for as bad as Oakland's been, so
it's just like you remembered in the NFC North. It's all about defense. Now they're about high power offense. Now it's just like it's all about high power offense. It's just like Chicago is looking really good with the offense. Detroit, always a high-power offense. Green Bay, always high-power. It's like that division is a high-power offense now. It's not about defense in that division. It's the offense.
Well, and that's where it gets scary with Detroit is because Detroit, as high-powered offense as they have the number 1 ranked defense in the league right now.
Yeah.
So if you can put that together, they walked over the Jets. The Jets kind of kept it close there, but if you watch that game, it wasn't as close as the score looks. Lions definitely looked in charge that entire game.
Oh, it's like, well, they played against Carolina. They looked terrible. And I thought Detroit would have been a really tough team this year. But when Carolina just walked all over them, it just like.
Yeah, if you would have told me that the Lions' strong suit is their defense over their offense at the start of the year, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah. No, agree. It's just like wait, what? They have Calvin Johnson, and then they got Golden Tate, and then the running game they need to get it a little better on, but the passing is just unbelievable. And
the running game's really hurt this year. I think Joey Bell has looked better than Reggie Bush. So he doesn't even get that many touches. So it's interesting when teams that have that really strong rush that you kind of expect coming in both sides, and then they just kind of flatten out. That's the same way Houston's been with Arian Foster. You kind of expected him. He's looked healthy. It hasn't really seemed to be his injury, but he really hasn't put anything up. We watched that Houston-Buffalo game, and here's a crazy stat for you that I would also laugh at is J.J. Watt now scoring another TD from the pick 6 this week has more touchdowns than Andre Johnson and Arian Foster combined.
That's pretty. Hey, he's making more money than anybody on that team. So
and he's earning it, man.
Yeah,
that guy, they've had a couple key injuries already on that defense, and J.J. Watt gives 0 fucks.
Oh no,
he's gonna make it happen.
He wants to win.
Yeah, he is one of those guys that I put in the box of gamer. Yeah. There's certain people like him. I think Andrew Luck is that way. There's a handful of people out there where their skill set isn't even really based so much even on their skill, but it's their Tom Brady's that way, where he's just he fucking wants to win, and that I think is more than you can. That competition ability, I think, is more than you can give any sort of skill set.
Yeah. Buffalo was driving down the field, getting ready to score a touchdown, I think, to either tie the game or take the lead. And the momentum is just getting killed on Houston. And all of a sudden, E.J. Manuel does this little pass, and then J.J. Watt just grabs it in the air.
Swats it and then takes it. Yep, they got that double touch.
Yeah, and it's just like –
it was a thing of beauty.
And Houston was back, and Houston was just like, no big deal. We got J.J. Watt.
Yeah. Yeah, big man on campus.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when people play Seattle, they don't throw Sherman's way.
Yeah.
It's kind of gotten to be how it is in Houston. Don't even aim at that left side of the field with J.J. Watt's big-ass arms over there.
Yeah, exactly. Wingspan. You were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, unhuman like that. It's crazy. And then the thing I like about that guy, I just love that guy. It seems like a good all-around dude.
Oh, yeah. I think he's just a funny guy, and he just wants to play and have fun. That interview, he's just like, what do rich people buy again?
Yeah, I know. And Andrew Luck, speaking of him that I just mentioned, we watched them versus Tennessee as well. Good old Colts are getting back on track now. They got find themselves 2-2. Luck, in my early picks, I have him going for probably Player of the Year, MVP.
MVP?
The way it looks, who has done a better job this year than Andrew Luck?
Well, no, you're right, Andrew Luck. Before the Green Bay Packers and Chicago game, you heard me say it, and I called it. I said, I think Jay Cutler would be in the running for that because how he performed. But after that, what Green Bay did to him, Andrew Luck is up there.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't even mention back on Buffalo. This was kind of an important deal. Apparently, they're benching E.J. Manuel now for Orton for the starting on Week 5.
Yeah. What are they doing?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think you kind of know what you're getting with Orton, but I think they're just especially Buffalo started off pretty good. So I mean, they're kind of struggling now with a couple losses.
Is it I think it might be a punishment just to teach them a lesson because they threatened to do that with Tannehill before Oakland. It's just like, we're going to bench Tannehill, and they're like, no, let's hold off. It's Oakland.
Yeah, no doubt. But back to Andrew Luck here on MVP. Listen to these stats: 4 games, 1,305 yards, 13. Count them, 13 touchdowns in 4 games.
Touchdowns.
That's on. I didn't do the math on that. That's got to be on rate to break Manning's record.
Yeah, he is on pace to break Manning's record. I think he's on pace for at least close to 55, 56 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's wild. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up. Their schedule definitely gets a little bit tougher, but he's definitely looking good. And when he comes to play, I think that rest of that team comes to play, and they're hurting a bit on defense, but they've got some pretty good weapons. I was going to ask you, who do you think is the best player on the Colts team besides Andrew Luck?
Besides Andrew Luck? This season or just
this season? Who's looking the best this season so far?
Looking who's the best? It's probably Bradshaw, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
who I got. That's who I got is Bradshaw. I think he has surprised. I think that he's been the only person there that's kind of been the go-to guy. I think they've been passing to him. They've been running with him a little bit. They've been running that little, almost like a wide receiver screen with him. They've been running him on the outside, tossing it out to him and making him go after the ball.
And plus, his receivers have been coming through for him. It's just but you never know who Andrew Luck's going to be throwing to. It's like you got Reggie Wayne, T.Y. Hilton, and Hakeem Nicks. And it's just and the receivers have been stepping up, especially the tight ends too, So it's just I can't say who's their best player on the team. They have a good team because they're playing as a team, and it's helping Andrew Luck a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy with how good they've looked, and they're only 2-2.
Yeah.
So they've got some making up to do. So, and then here's where it gets a little bit crazy. That's our morning games. Then we cut over to the afternoon games, including the Sunday night and Monday night game. And we're recording here on Tuesday instead of our normal Monday recording. So we've seen Monday night. You guys are listening to this. We'll probably listen to it on Wednesday. But come the afternoon game, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, we had a slew of upsets. We had Tampa Bay coming back last second in Pittsburgh.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a morning game. The Tampa Bay-Pittsburgh game?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a morning game.
So. Oh, okay. So maybe I just had that messed up. But with that one, going into the other ones, Tampa Bay kind of Pittsburgh fucks up running out the clock. Tampa Bay comes back with an amazing last drive. Then we had Minnesota killing Atlanta. Atlanta looked so good, and they looked bad against Cincy, but then, man, not looking very good again against Minnesota.
Nah, it didn't. It wasn't Atlanta. Atlanta played a really good game. It was Minnesota that looked better. Minnesota was the better team. They outplayed Miami. They outplayed Atlanta.
Well, I'll tell you what did look bad for Atlanta is their run D.
Oh yeah,
Asiata and that rookie McKinnon. When they started giving him the ball in that game, I didn't even know who he was, and by the end of the game, I knew his name. They both rushed together for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns between the two of them. So they really lit it up, and Atlanta's D was hurting there. So
and Bridgewater.
Yeah, Bridgewater looked good, you know.
Bridgewater looked good. But
he didn't put up any crazy stats. His quarterback rating wasn't impressive, and his stat line wasn't impressive, but he looked like a leader out on the field, definitely a lot more so than Matt Castle did.
Yeah, he was out there taking risks, and he had – and the team –
And more importantly, he didn't throw interceptions.
No, he did not. He did not throw picks. It's kind of hard to throw picks when you got 2 running backs rushing for 200 yards.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then we come to another afternoon game there, the nail biter that was your team, San Francisco over Philly.
Wow. It was really tough.
You were pale, sir.
Oh, yes. You got the San Francisco 49ers only scored 3 points in the second half all year. Then you got Philadelphia, who doesn't score in the first half. And then suddenly things changed. Philadelphia scored 21 points in the first half.
By special teams and defense.
Yeah, it's just like, how did we hold?
And then you shut down the entire offense, didn't get a single point on you guys.
Yeah, in the second half. It's just, the whole game. Yeah, in the second half, they did not score at all. It's just like, how did we shut down Nick Foles?
Yeah.
And Darren Sproles and McCoy. It just
you guys held Philly to 150 yards of offense until that very last drive.
Yeah.
That is brutal. That's about as much of a beating as a defense can give an offense.
And it's just we played it just like Frank Gore. We gave Frank Gore the ball like we were supposed to. And Frank Gore even said it. He's like, give me the ball. I promise you things will happen. And look what he did.
Well, your boy Stevie Johnson finally came through for you.
Oh yeah, Stevie Johnson, tippy toes.
Yeah, I was one of the nicest catches I've seen all season, especially since it was so clutch. Like that made the game. So I mean, when you can have a catch like that, and then when it's a game-winning catch, it makes it a huge deal.
Stevie Johnson is clutch. He was clutch in Buffalo, and look at him now. He's being clutch for us right now. It's just.
Tell you who's not being clutch, sitting on my fantasy team 2 weeks with like 2 points is LaShawn McCoy. I don't know what I'm going to do with that guy. And Sproles isn't getting much better. He's kind of had the big week and then
he got
a bunch
kick
of
return.
small weeks. He did get a kick return. It doesn't help me in any fantasy leagues.
You're just hating on Darren Sproles when he's just like, I did a kick return for you.
Well, people who would listen to the show, listeners from week 1, when we did our first picks, we thought in the preseason who was going to be the Super Bowl winners. I have Philly picked. I'm still going to hold to that. I think they're going to get their shit together, but they definitely had some issues with San Francisco, that's for sure.
Yes, they did, and it was a big win for Frisco or Philly. So, but that NFC East is going to be
nasty.
It's going to be a tough division.
Got some tough games.
Yes, and speaking of the NFC East, what did you think of that Sunday night game?
Well, once again, sticking with the predictions or like I said, of the underdogs coming back and winning. I mean, both these teams haven't been looking very good, the Dallas and New Orleans, but Dallas ended up really showing they've got what it takes and put a beating on New Orleans.
Yes, they did. I never thought I would see Dallas putting up that many points against New Orleans. I would never see something like that. It's like I could see Dallas putting points up against somebody like Carolina, but not New Orleans or Atlanta or New England or Indianapolis or Denver, because they did against Denver last year. But it's just high-powered offenses. But it wasn't Tony Romo. It was DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, well, and there's my other choice for MVP right now is DeMarco Murray has just been insane. 534 rushing yards in 4 games. And that is currently almost 200 yards more than any other player in the NFL right now.
That's insane.
That's crazy. And I mean, there hasn't been any really kind of big rushers, and there's been lots of injuries. So, I mean, some of the stuff's affected that. Him being healthy kind of has put a bit of a crown on that title for him. But healthy is a big part to do of all that. So, you know, if he can keep at it and keep putting up those numbers, man, it's going to be hard to take that throne from him.
See, it's like everybody's talking about Tony Romo, Des Bryant, the Dallas Cowboys. It's DeMarco Murray.
Yep, getting it done.
DeMarco Murray has been their guy for the past few seasons.
And I think the Cowboys know it. I don't know if the fans have really caught on yet, but the Cowboys know it because they keep giving him the fucking ball.
Oh, yeah,
they're like,
they do.
he's been a workhorse, and they're throwing him the ball more now.
They need to start making it around DeMarco Murray now because DeMarco Murray has been the guy, and it's time that he needs to be the face of that team because he has been stepping it up as a leadership, and it's time for some love for the running back finally since Emmitt Smith.
So New Orleans now 1-3. If you're a fan of New Orleans, time to worry yet?
Yes.
Yes, time to worry yet.
Yes.
Time to worry.
It's time to panic because you still get to play Atlanta one more time.
Yeah.
You still get to play Carolina twice.
Yeah.
You still have to play against the Bengals. Baltimore.
Yeah, they got some tough teams.
I wouldn't say Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh was just
well, it's kind of hit or miss with Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
obviously, but you know, Pittsburgh can be dangerous too.
And then you get to play Frisco. It depends what Frisco team is going to show up against New Orleans, but it's just New Orleans has a tough schedule ahead of them. It's not going to be cakewalk.
Definitely not going to be cakewalk.
It's time to worry. If you sweep against Carolina, then I think you're going to be all right, but it's a tough schedule ahead of them. So
yeah, it's definitely tricky, but let's get down to the important thing about this week. Monday Night Football.
I'll do the honors.
The only game that matters. My Kansas City Chiefs looking like motherfucking pimps against New England. You know, I've got some friends that are New England fans, and I was getting some flack all week long about how the beating I was going to get and how bad Kansas City's looked. And I think most of those people must have only been tuning in week 1 when we played the Titans because give it that, even I was selling stock at Kansas City Chiefs. I was like, that was a poor-ass showing. But we looked good against Miami. We almost beat fucking Denver. Like, we were really close. We should have won that game if Andy Reid had better clock management. And then, so I was stoked. It was at Arrowhead, which is one of the hardest places to play. We hadn't won there at the end of the year, so it was really hurting us, and we lost our opener there. And, you know, so it was about time we got back to fashion. Alex Smith is a motherfucking pimp on Monday Night Football. He now has like insane numbers. I didn't write him down.
He's undefeated on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, undefeated Monday Night Football, but like I can't remember his numbers. He has a quarterback rating between the 2 games of like 130.
Yes.
Like, it's insane. Like, he really likes to come play when it's for Monday night. So, NFL, Goodell, if you're still in office by next year, give Kansas City some more Monday Night Football games.
Maybe against
Hook a
Denver.
brother up. I don't care.
Twice.
Yeah, we'll play Monday night every week if Alex Smith does like that. But we were running all over him. It didn't matter. I could have been in the backfield in that game. They had Niall Davis. They had Jamal Charles just busting off. They'd run Jamal Charles in there, and then he'd get tired. They'd put Niall Davis, and Niall Davis would run a 40-yard run on it. I mean, we just decimated them. Like, if you look at the score, it doesn't even show how bad that game was. They've got a couple garbage time touchdowns that were just missed tackles by the third-string Kansas City Chief players that were in.
They pulled Brady at the beginning of the 4th quarter, too.
Yeah.
Which
was interesting.
And the backup quarterback scored the touchdown.
I know, right?
It was so weird.
Interesting. But yeah. And the beautiful thing about that, for you guys who don't follow the Kansas City Chiefs, is we did that with over half of our defense out of that game. We did not have half of our starters that entire game. And you know, it's really interesting to say that Kansas City, if we can perform like that, then we're going to be dangerous this year. You know, we're finally able to get Kelsey, Fasano, our tight ends in the mix. They've been looking really good. Alex Smith, our offensive line is still kind of shaky, but he had a little bit more time this game. And the biggest threat, I think, with Alex Smith is people don't know he's a runner. Like, that guy has legs,
He
and
loves to
he
run.
leads the NFL, quarterbacks in the NFL for rushing. So you got to watch out for that, too. So that we kind of have a lot of different things going there.
And plus the new dynamic weapons, your 1-2 punch of Jamal Charles and now Davis.
Yeah. And Joe McKnight when he was healthy, but now they put him on IR today. So him along with 4 other players on our fucking team all have Achilles injuries.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. People are sweeping the fucking leg.
Oh yeah.
In Kansas City. They're getting a little hurt. But week 5 coming up. Had some good games. We always kind of try and go over highlight at least a couple of the big ones. I'm pretty excited to see Bengals and Patriots. You know, I told Brandon after that game, I was like, man, we softened them up for you. So
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. I'm just I bet Brandon is a bit worried because you don't like Tom Brady when he's angry.
Tom Brady is angry right now, but Cincinnati knows how to put out the fires against New England now. So
yeah.
So Cincinnati's just probably kicking back, relaxing.
Well,
like,
Cincy ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah,
you know?
Cincinnati is one of the only 2 teams that's undefeated left. So and they're probably ready for New England.
And fresh off the bye.
Yeah.
So they're nice and rested.
Yeah.
Also fresh off the bye and undefeated is the other undefeated team, the Cardinals, and they've got a big test too at the Broncos.
Denver Broncos. But the question is, though, is Carson Palmer going to play? They keep on saying he is, he isn't. It's that but.
Who cares?
That Staten kid is looking amazing, and
Who
he's going to
cares
probably
at this
win
point?
the job.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's what happens with injuries. That's how that usually goes down. You know, I think that's going to be a good game. I would be a card. If the Cardinals win the Broncos, I will have a segment on the show next week talking about how much I love the Cardinals. Because we need that win against the Cardinals against the Broncos so bad.
And I need the Broncos to do the same thing to Arizona.
so one of us is going to be disappointed.
Yeah. So one of us is going to have
Can that game end in a tie?
Well, if that game, what would happen if that game ends at a tie?
A 0-0 tie. That's what we're looking for.
That'd be interesting.
And then Ravens Colts. That should be another really good one, I think. Ravens has really stepped up their game. Colts are looking really damn good. So I'm excited to watch that one too.
I think the Colts are going to win this one. It's going to be a good win.
I think so too. But I think it should be a good game.
It is. And on the personal side note, this is the top game in our feature. It's the top 3 games for everybody, all the listener features out here. This is a top game for our personal feature. Kansas City at San Francisco. Alex Smith returning to San Francisco for the first time.
Yep. And that's why I said it's kind of fitting to have Heath on this little bit of a podcast here. And, you know, Chiefs and 49ers, and it's going to be a good game. You know, at some point earlier in this, you know, a couple games ago, I might have been like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. Both of our teams aren't looking good. But, yeah, I think both of our teams are kind of coming around now. And it's always interesting when you have those players returning. So I'm hoping Alex Smith has eaten his Wheaties and gonna come in and put a punishment to those 49ers.
He wants to stick it to Kaepernick. That's the only person he wants to stick it to right there.
And it looks like we're gonna have Eric Berry and DeAnthony Thomas for the first time this year back.
Yeah.
So hopefully DeAnthony Thomas can come in and run DMC it, you know, and get his stuff going as well.
And as long as they run the ball with Frank Gore, I would be pretty happy. Or Kaepernick's just going to be eating sex sandwiches all day. So and I don't want that.
And that if you watch that the Kansas City game, that's exactly what happened with Tom Brady. Brady just buckled under pressure, and we've got some nasty pass rush going on. On top of our, you know, normal pass rush, you know, we also got that draft pick D Ford who's looked really good.
Yeah,
so it's really interesting to see how that's going to go, which kind of brings me into our button hook bet segment. Now, we weren't exactly sure what we were going to do this week, but I think I got a pretty good idea. Since the Chiefs and the 49ers are playing each other, I think we got to have a little first head-to-head bet. So what we're going to have to do is the loser between the 49ers and the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs. Heath's obviously picking the Chiefs.
Wait, no. No. I think last time I checked, I was picking the 49ers.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So what we'll do is the loser of that will have to do whatever the other person says. So we will have it live segment on the show, and we'll just do it like that. We'll have the loser have to lose his bet, and he'll have to do either what the fans say, if you guys come up with something good for us and mention something to us, or, when Heath loses.
No permanent ink on the body, though.
No permanent ink. No tattoos of 49ers suck on Heath's body.
Yes.
I'll make you put Kaepernick with an arrow pointing down. Something like that.
Because knowing Brandon, he's all about tattoos, and he'd be like, yeah, make him wear a tattoo. Give him a tattoo. I'll get the tattoo ink right now. No, let's pass on the tattoos.
Unfortunately, both of us have been losing some bets recently on the show.
Yes.
We had Heath out earlier this week, and we'll be posting the pictures up for you guys to see. As you know, and we mentioned last week, Heath, when he mispicked St. Louis beating the Cowboys.
So close.
So close. Thought he had it. Didn't happen. You almost want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but we didn't. So he sent Heath out on a busy road in all his 49ers gear, rocking a big sign that said, "We'll work for fourth quarter or for second half points." So we'll get that picture up on the website for you, and make sure buttonhookme.com, if you're not listening it to there right on the website, we'll have it up so you guys can see Heath in all his glory sporting his "will work for second half point" sign for the 49ers. So.
I'm glad I didn't get in trouble, because that's illegal for me to do that on Sprague and Pines.
No panhandling.
Yeah.
The cops come over and they're like, "Oh, he's a fucking 49ers
I know,
fan.
so
Arrest him."
Yeah.
Somebody shoot him.
Oh no. Raiders fan. He's just like, yeah, I'll be glad to.
He's got an Arizona iced tea and Skittles. Yes. Fucking shoot him.
Take him out. This is Spokane, so cops shoot first, ask questions later. So.
That's usually how that goes. And then, so as you're tuning in that for Heath, we now have me. I went out there, said Jacksonville was going to beat San Diego, which was, I knew when I called it was going to be a long shot. Bortles looked really good, and I fucking hate San Diego. So what's going to be my punishment?
For the rest of the football season, when Phillip Rivers' name is dropped in the conversation, you have to defend him like he's your best friend in the whole wide world. Say nice things about Phillip Rivers.
You have no clue how hard that is.
So it's going to be pretty good watching Game Day Sunday with you when they're talking about Phillip Rivers and they say something bad. You're just like, no, I think he's going to be an MVP finalist this year.
That's a stand-up gentleman.
Exactly.
Oh,
so
man.
When he's crying and throwing fits on the field, you just got to be like.
You do know that I'm going to a Kansas City game in December. If I'm in Arrowhead and have to talk good about Phillip Rivers, there's going to be fucking issues. I need to get a bye for that day. I need a one day bye for that bet. So
we'll let the listeners vote on that. So the listeners want Chris to say nothing about Phillip Rivers and Arrowhead. They could choose.
Oh man! At least I'm not having to wear his jersey there or something.
Exactly.
I'll be like, no, I'm a fucking Chiefs fan. I promise.
So, how did you think of Phillip Rivers' performance, by the way?
Fuck Phillip Rivers, man.
Oh
wait.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. He sure looked like a good quarterback against those Jacksonville Jaguars.
They are playing against the Jets this week.
Yeah, I think he can put it to the Jets. He's got a great arm.
This is going to be a fun year. This is going to be fun.
On the bright side, the bet I did win, that I'm still bragging about a little bit just because I got so much fucking hate for it, is when I was hating on Toby Gerhart, Cordell Patterson saying that they weren't going to have good years. Gerhart, and I said each of them, neither of them were going to get over 100 yards in Gerhart in rushing, Patterson receiving, and it still hasn't been done by week 4. Gerhart this week had 32 yards, Patterson had 38. So I'm still waiting for them to prove me wrong and fuck the haters.
It's not happening. But
whatever.
The
Everyone said that. Oh no.
The only thing I can see difference is Patterson with the Bridgewater behind the
Maybe.
horn. So that's the only thing I can
He didn't even look at Patterson that whole game though. He was going to all the other right and.
Well, he's learning the system still, you know.
Yeah,
it's just like
could be.
So it's just got to give it time. Toby Gerhart, nah, I don't see it.
No, definitely not. He's been bad.
Yeah.
All right, so this week we're going to go to Button Hook Breakdown, brought to you by Heath this week. He had a fun little game for us. For those who listen to the show and you know what Breakdown is. For those who don't, Button Hook Breakdown is basically where we take something that has to do with football, but that isn't exactly football like we've been talking about and kind of break it down. This week, since there's been talk over the last couple years, the NFL has made mention that there's a couple cities out there fishing for team expansions. The NFL is kind of frowned upon it because they don't want to mess up the way they got their scheduling done with the divisions and a few.
Perfect where it's at right now.
Yeah, I mean it's a perfect layout. We have a good design and it works well and all is nice and clear. But Heath came up with a little scenario. Since there was like at least 3 or 4 different spots that were interested in expansion recently, that if we went ahead and put 8 expansions in, then we would be able to put one per division and still keep things in fairly somewhat order. So what we decided we were going to do for Breakdown this week is which won't ever happen this way, if NFL tomorrow was like, we're rolling out 8 brand new expansions, who is worthy?
Who's worthy? Well, it's just like we're obviously going to eliminate the obvious. We're going to obviously eliminate Los Angeles because Los Angeles has been the popular choice for the past few years. And then they're talking about London. They've been talking about a team in London. And then Canada because Buffalo almost ended up moving to Toronto. So.
All right, so we got Los Angeles.
Yes.
We've been wanting one for a while. I think everybody knows that, and they're definitely suitable to host one.
Exactly.
London, once again, we've been playing games there. That's actually where the Oakland Dolphins game. Is that who it was? Dolphins?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they got 2 more games up there this year.
Yeah, and so that crowd is kind of growing on American football up there, and they've been talking about an expansion there, but they don't really know how to work the schedule with all the flying there, but. London would be definitely the way to go, and then there's been talks of Canada. Yes. So we've got Canada down, LA, London, Canada. That fills up 3 of the slots. Those are probably the easy ones. But then we start thinking, okay, what other teams might be interested in some sort of expansion?
I was thinking Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is definitely. I mean, they have the right atmosphere to have football games. There's always tons of people there. There might be the draw for that. Their arena team is really fucking good. So, and I know they get a lot of support. There. Yeah, and so we can put down that. We'll go Vegas. The Las Vegas, what could they be? It could be the Las Vegas, the Las Vegas sideshow.
Sideshow.
I don't know what you are in Vegas, and then of course we got the, it matters where we go in Canada. That's one thing that me and Heath talked about. If you're going to do Canada, and Canada's going to be in the mix, you might as well do 2. You might as well do East Coast Canada or West Coast Canada. You can. Have a couple teams up there.
Exactly. So that might be. Got Vancouver and Toronto. So
yeah. So we can do Toronto. And I got Vancouver.
Vancouver's pretty good and it's very popular, so.
Hey, can't forget about the Portland Riverhogs.
Oh yeah, the Portland Riverhogs.
Got Portland down there. Yeah. Yeah. me and Heath have been big fans of the Portland Riverhogs, so that might be my new favorite team if they come out and go to Portland there. Give us another somewhat local team to root for. So LA, London, Toronto, Las Vegas, Vancouver, Portland. Then it starts getting tricky. You kind of have these couple last slots left, and you kind of wonder who's to go. Can Texas really take another team?
Oakland, they were talking about
They
moving
love their
Oakland
football.
to San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio definitely has the fan base with like basketball. I think San Antonio might be a good one.
Yeah.
Someone like maybe Salt Lake City. There's not a lot there in the Midwest. Does Mormons like football?
All it does is rain down there too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. You have so many teams kind of piled up. I mean, where do you go?
I could see something like Alabama.
Really?
Alabama their college fan base is so insane down there, and it just like, and plus it's in the southern. It's just like.
What about Memphis?
Memphis, that's another good town. That's another good place to do it at too.
Yeah, I mean, someone like that could be a fix. So we got San Antonio.
Yes.
And then maybe Memphis.
Maybe Memphis.
Get that honky-tonk country group. I mean, anything that's in the southern states, I think you got a pretty good shot of it being at least somewhat successful.
Yeah, it's just like you're just trying to think where it would be perfect. It's just like, I think, because you're like looking around and it's like New York already has enough, New Jersey has enough. It's just like, why would you want to put more up there? It's just like, it's too much. And then you're just like going down. Washington, D.C. already has one. And it's just like Cincinnati Ohio already has two teams. So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was saying like North Dakota, South Dakota. No.
It's just like.
No Montana team?
No, Montana, no. You still can't do it. Idaho? Yeah, no.
Oh, Boise, the Boise Mountaineers.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could do something like that.
It's just like you got your basics. It's like Arizona. It's just like you thought Arizona would not deserve a football team, but their fan base is so crazy down there.
They're good.
Yeah,
they got a nice little setup there.
It's just like you got teams that you think they don't deserve a football team, but when the fans come out there and support them, it's
and that's all you really need. If you got that, then it's definitely worthwhile. I'd love to have something a little bit closer over here. I'd take a Spokane team.
Yeah.
I'd take the Chiefs to relocate to Spokane, just like everyone always talks about the Spokane Chiefs, which is our hockey team here. And people are always like, go Chiefs. And I'm like, all right, go Chiefs. And then I'm like, oh, you guys are talking about the Spokane Chiefs.
Or Dublin Chiefs.
Yeah. Heath decided to take it upon himself this year on my Madden account to raise all the prices of my hot dogs and stadium seats and beer in my stadium and my peanuts and everything else, and then not fix up the bathrooms, so they were just a mess. And then we got booted out of Arrowhead, and they relocated all the way to Dublin. And then he wouldn't even rename me anything cool, so I was just the Dublin Chiefs. And
as Adam Schefter once said on the Twitter of Madden, he's like, Dublin Chiefs? That was a stupid name. Love Adam Schefter.
I'm with you on that one, Adam. It definitely doesn't sound right. I need to be the Dublin Direwolves or something crazy like that. But I definitely love to go to Ireland and catch a Chiefs game. I would do that. I would take a visiting game or something. But anyway you do it. But
how fucked up would it be? You finally have the chance to see the Chiefs live at Arrowhead, and then they just up and move to Dublin just to make things hard.
I'm seeing the Chiefs live at Arrowhead versus Oakland this year, sir. So you better get on your maniacal ways. I'm going to go there, and my peanuts are going to cost $12.
Yeah. Yeah, if you see them cost $12, you know who's behind it. Be like, you did buy out the Chiefs.
Man. Just can't get a win, but and then hopefully when I see them versus Oakland, we'll put a spanking on them. So yeah, that was kind of the plan there. But I guess we better go on down to the Button Hook Blitz is usually our ending segment here, and This week, I thought it was fitting with the beating Monday night that I get to give a little bit of a push on those New England Patriots.
It's a reward. Think of it as a reward. It's just like we beat the crap out of the Patriots, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking make fun of them.
I need something now that me and Philip Rivers are BFF. I need to go into somebody here and start things off with him, man. I'll tell you what, who just irks me. I mean, he's a great coach, but Bill Belichick, I watched, of course, I was sitting with an embraced smile on my face after that football game, and I tuned in to watch Bill Belichick pout at the press conference. And in true Bill Belichick style, he just sat there, and no matter what they asked him, he was like, we just got to do a better job. Got to look into next week and do a better job with our players.
Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game? He said that like 5 times last night. Did you watch the game? Like that.
Well, Belichick, what are you going to do? How come you guys couldn't stop the run?
Did you watch the game?
Did you watch the game? We just couldn't stop the run that game.
Yeah.
We just got to do better.
Yeah. Just got to do better. Better next time. Did you watch the game?
Just an idiot, man. Like, I can't believe reporters still even show up at his press conference. It's just a waste of everybody's time. Then I had to wait and listen to him do that for like a half an hour before they even showed Andy Reid or Jamal Charles. So
yeah.
And then it got a little bit better, but I didn't even really get him to pout and be too whiny because he just mumbled like an idiot forever.
He probably did a lot of crying in his sweater that he always wears. That's why he wears that, because it just soaks in the tears.
Catches Belichick tears.
Yeah, then he uses the sweater for Tom Brady to cry on.
Yeah, it's always nice to put a beating on Brady, and I used to really, really hate Brady. I've come to like him a little bit better over the years. Now, he just doesn't whine as much anymore, and I don't know if it's because he's gotten older, but he used to be just such a whiny bitch. Like, every time anything would happen, that whole tuck rule debacle, and someone would touch him, and which it is illegal to touch the quarterback now pretty much, but and he would just whine and piss and moan about it. But there was not a happier moment in my life than in 2008 when the Chiefs dove right into Tom Brady's leg and took him out of commission for a while. Yeah, sweep the legs. So we always have that going. But the other thing that really drives me crazy about the Patriots is having them on your fantasy team. Because outside of like Gronk, which has only been around for a couple years, you never know who's fucking getting the ball there.
No.
You really just are. They're running backs every year. It's not just been the last couple years. Have always been a shit show. They're like, okay, well, we'll give it to Stephen Ridley this time for like 20 touches, and he'll have 2 touchdowns and 100 yards.
But he'll fumble the
and
ball.
Then he fumbles the ball, and then they
him.
bench him for 3 games.
Yeah.
And then Shane Vereen, he's so hit and miss, and they don't ever really pass to their wide receivers, so you don't really know. You can't start Brandon LaFell, and then he goes off for 2 touchdowns and 130 yards like last game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just really kind of a hit and miss with them.
Only 3 players. Well, not anymore, because Tom Brady is shit in the bed.
I know. How's those trades going for Tom Brady?
Not going so well. I get a lot of trade offers for Matt Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, no, we don't want Tom Brady. And they're like, I got offered a kicker, I think, but not really. So, but you're two players. So fuck Tom Brady right now, because this is where we make fun of the Patriots. You got Gronk and Gostkowski.
Yeah, Gostkowski definitely puts up points. I mean, the last game he only had 2 points,
but still, those are the only 2 players that are accurate on the team.
Yeah, they're definitely tough to do much with. Old Vince Wilfork hold downs the fort, but that guy's like 50 years old.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when they lined up Dontari Poe last week at fullback, and you watched him plow through freaking Vince Wilfork like he was nothing, sure makes you happy. You got to like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
What about older Patriot players? Who's an older Patriot player?
Rodney Harrison.
Rodney Harrison.
The bigger than Tom Brady,
Just
bigger than
dickhead.
Biggest crybaby in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, I never saw a guy cry that much, that many times in my life. Like, it's like, I fucking hate the Seahawks a lot, more than anything. But I remembered when the Patriots played against the Seahawks, Matt Hasselbeck days. And I don't remember who he threw to him, Rodney Harrison's side. He stiff-armed him, and Rodney Harrison cried and bitched and moaned, and the receiver got flagged for that shit, for face mask. And it's just like really? That's the receiver's job, is to stiff arm. And
it's like Belichick's over there, and he's just like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to record teams' practices.
Exactly.
And we're going to watch them. And if that doesn't work, we're going to bitch and moan until we get fouls called against the other team. So
that's what he grew up was. He was like, he just grew up watching the neighbors, keeping Tom style. He was just like, look at that girl over there taking her clothes off, just practicing.
And then he'll have a buddy over there, and he's just like, hey, what was on the video? I was like, didn't you watch the thing? Didn't you see what was on
yeah,
Did you see what was on the video?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you kind of cut her off the head. He's like, we just got to do a better job.
Yes, we got to do a better job. It's just like, yeah. No wonder Cleveland got rid of him. It's like Cleveland was so bad, they're like, no, we don't want this cheating motherfucker. we're already bad enough. It's just like, no, they'll catch on to us when we're cheating.
Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever. You know, the Patriots. Fuck the Patriots. They're going downhill. As soon as Tom Brady's out there, they're going to be in for a harsh reality. So they don't have enough team stacked up there. Tom Brady's just, you know, I can hate him as much as I want. He's an incredible player, and he really ups the ability of everybody there around him. But they've got some really mediocre players that he makes look pretty damn good. So I got him a couple more years, and they're going to be in a bad place.
I like it when they don't high five Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like, high five, and then
high five Tom Brady.
High five, Tom Brady.
Oh, sad.
He self-fives. He's like,
somebody high five Tom Brady.
No, he can't even self-five himself because it's that sad. He's like, no, I can't. Just sad. It's just like, I remembered when the Mannings and Brady got knocked off out of the playoff contention for the Super Bowl, and you got that photo of Eli and Tom be like, hey, Tom, you want to come join us for the Super Bowl? We have a spot open, and you see the photo of them all crying there. And then suddenly you see the Mannings sit next to each other. They're like, psych! Don't allow crybabies on the team.
Yeah, that's how that usually goes. But we're about out of time here, so we better wrap this up. And you can catch in with us next week. We're going to kind of be going over week 5. And apparently I'm going to be super excited about whatever the Chargers do next week, and that's going to be the plan there. And you'll get to hear back on whether or not me and Heath lost our little challenge between the 49ers and the Chiefs.
I'll retire from the show when I suck.
There you go. But until then, make sure and check us out. We're on Stitcher Radio. If you search for us there, buttonhookme.com, which is the website. And if you're those Apple users out there with your bent phones, you can check us out on iTunes. Until then, we'll be here watching football. Peace.
Go Niners.